Today I'm going to show you how I recreate this dark bruise on my hip. I'm going to be using my effects palette by Illustrator and some glazing gels and glazing sprays and building it up, taking it back, building it up, just having a general play. So it is a little bit of a longer video to show you how I try and create a realistic natural bruise. So the first step to this tutorial is you accidentally walk into a doorknob because you're very clumsy, and then you wait about a week for the bruise to develop. So I'm going to start making a base shape out of the bruise yellow in the glazing spray. This bruise yellow is such a beautiful color, I really like it. The glazing spray is really nice and subtle and easy to blend out to get this beautiful shape that you can build up onto. I like to apply it with a fan brush and then pat it out with my fingers. So once I've got that down, I'm going to move on to my glazing spray in green. I'm going to build up little bits of green color around the edges. And again, using a fan brush and patting it out with my fingers. Then I'm going to use the blue glazing spray, which I've mentioned previously that it is darker than the rest of them, which you can clearly see, so it requires a bit more blending out. So if you are having trouble blending out the blue, a little bit of water on the fingertip definitely helps to blend that out. You don't want to see evidence of brush marks. Now I'm going to move on to the glazing gels, which are thicker and more pigmented. I'm using deep purple and black and blue. So I'm starting with the deep purple, and I've got a little wedge sponge which I've pulled out bits so it's like textured, so that when you press it into the skin, you get this textured appearance which looks just like the burst capillaries under the skin. So using that in a deep purple, I am putting darker pigments around the bruise, trying to copy the darkest parts of the reference. So you can see the reference does have definitely darker areas and lighter areas. You don't want the whole thing to be the same color. If it's broken up and asymmetrical, it's going to look a lot more realistic. And again, if I put it down too dark, I do like to use my finger to pat it out and get it to kind of sink into the skin and look more natural. Now I'm moving on to the darker color called black and blue, and I started with a sponge, and I'm going to apply it both with a sponge and with the pointed end of a brush. And again, always blending that out with my finger afterwards. So the darkest point of my bruise is in the center, so I am trying to build up that center color to be darker. Now I'm going to switch it up and use my effects palette. I feel like you can get a little bit of a sharper color and lines using the effects palette over the glazing gels. I'm using the bruise tone with my wedge, and again applying it and patting it with my fingers. Now I'm using a clean wedge that's also been torn up and it has some alcohol on it. And I'm trying to clean up some of the color that I've put down so that more of my skin tone can show through. As you can see, the real reference on the left has different spots of my skin tone showing through. It's not all just bruise tone. And a lot of my makeup does require putting stuff down and then taking it off again and putting more stuff down. And that just kind of build up makes it look more natural. I'm also going on with the remover product here, which is specific for the glazing gels and glazing sprays. You can see the alcohol does remove it a little bit, but the remover gel really does help to take off a lot of the glazing gels and glazing sprays quite quickly. Now I have taken off too much color, which you can see because it's way lighter than the reference. So I'm going to go back in again using a brush and my Illustrator palette. I've got a mix of the bruise tone and the ultra blue, and I'm trying to build up that look of burst capillaries by doing little dots over the surface and patting them with my finger. I'm also trying to leave more of that skin tone coming through. So again, I'm going to take off some of that color because I wasn't happy with the way that it turned out, and I'm going to redo this, but with glazing gels instead. So now I've got glazing gels and that same pointed brush. I'm using the deep purple, and I'm patting that over the surface. And now I've moved on to black and blue for a little bit of a darker color, and I'm building that in the center where I want the bruise to be the darkest. Now I'm going back in with that beautiful glazing spray in bruise yellow as I took off too much of the yellow from my skin. You can see it just blends it all together again. Now I'm going back in with some of the bruise blue, just sparingly putting little dots from the fan brush and patting it in with my finger. Now I'm going back into the center and the top to darken it a bit, as that glaze yellow did take off some of the darkness. So I'm using the deep purple glazing gel and a pointed brush. Now I'm going back in with the black and blue glazing gel, which is a little bit darker. I'm using both a brush and my fingertips, and then going over it again with a clean wedge that has been torn up with a little bit of the remover on it because I wanted more of the skin to show through again. Now I'm going back over it one more time with the Glazing spray in Bruise Yellow. So really it's just me playing, building up and taking it off until I get the effect that I like. And now where I've taken off just a little bit too much color, I'm going back in with the Glazing gel in Deep Purple. Again, I'm just putting it on with a pointed brush and patting it with my finger. Now I'm going to clean up the very edge of the bruise with a clean, torn up wedge and a little bit of alcohol on it. Now that I've made the edge of the bruise a little bit more asymmetrical, I am fairly happy with how it looks, and I'm going to stop playing with it now. And this is the finished bruise. So there are several points which I could have stopped, or several things which I could have done or not done. This is just me playing and showing you how you can experiment with different products such as glazing gels, glazing sprays, and the effects palette, alcohol, activated colors, to copy real life references and bruises. And if you're not happy, you can take it back, and if you need to add more color, you can add more. It's really quite fluid. So go out there and have a play, and if you find this bruising tutorial helpful and you want to tag me in your recreations, I would love to see them on either Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Thanks for watching. The next video I'm going to upload is going to compare different bruising products from the effects palette, glazing gels and glazing sprays, water-based palettes, and cream-based palettes. And I'll link that here when that is uploaded. And also, if you're not subscribed and you would like to know when new videos are released, you can subscribe here, and I will see you guys soon. All right, bye.